A broken amulet, glowing shadows, and whispers from the unseen. One night in the rice fields changed everything. Would you dare to touch what should never be disturbed? The sun dipped low behind the distant mountains. Golden rays scattered across the quiet village. A cool breeze rustled through the rice paddies. The air carried the faint scent of wet soil. In the middle of the fields, a young farmer named Anan paused. He wiped sweat from his forehead. His eyes caught something unusual. A small object glimmered faintly beneath the mud. Anan bent down and picked it up. It was an amulet, delicate but broken. Cracks ran through its surface like tiny rivers. A chill ran down his spine. The amulet seemed to hum softly. A strange warmth contrasted the cold air. Anan held it tightly, feeling an unfamiliar pulse beneath his fingers. The sound of distant birds suddenly stopped. Shadows shifted around him. The wind whispered in a language he could not understand. His heart raced. The familiar path home felt unfamiliar and twisting. A low creak echoed across the field. Anan turned sharply. Nothing moved. Only the tall grass swayed as if mocking him. He tried to shake off the unease. But the air grew heavier. The sky darkened unnaturally fast. Clouds twisted into shapes that seemed alive. A soft voice echoed from nowhere. It called his name, calm but haunting. Anan froze. He knew no one was nearby. The amulet trembled in his hand. Its broken edges glowed faintly with a pale light. He could feel something inside it shifting. Something that did not belong to this world. Anan took a cautious step back. The ground beneath him felt unstable. His foot sank slightly into the wet soil. A sudden sensation of being watched prickled the back of his neck. A shadow detached itself from the distant trees. It moved with an unnatural grace. Anan's breath caught. Every instinct screamed to run. The voice grew louder, insistent, yet gentle. It whispered secrets of the amulet, of its history. Of a power trapped and now freed. Anan's hands shook violently. Suddenly, the amulet pulsed again. The cracks glowed with fiery lines. A sharp wind ripped through the field. The shadows twisted closer, as if drawn to it. Anan stumbled back. His mind raced, desperate for answers. The air felt heavy, pressing on his chest. Every sound seemed amplified. A figure appeared, emerging from the darkness. It was humanoid but distorted, flickering like smoke. The ground seemed to tremble with its presence. Anan's heart thumped uncontrollably. The amulet jumped in his hand. It flew out of his grasp. It hovered in the air, suspended by an invisible force. The figure reached toward it, its fingers stretching unnaturally. A sudden scream tore through the silence. Anan felt a sharp pain in his chest. The world tilted around him. His vision blurred as the figure moved closer. The amulet cracked once more. A blinding light erupted from it. Anan closed his eyes, shielding himself. He could feel the energy ripping through the air. When he dared to look again, the figure had vanished. The amulet lay on the ground, still broken, but glowing softly. The field was silent, eerily calm. The breeze no longer carried the scent of wet soil. Anan reached down slowly. He touched the amulet again. The pulse under his fingers was weaker, but still alive. He realized the story of the amulet was far from over. A distant sound of footsteps reached his ears. But no one was there. The shadows began to move again, restless. And the amulet's glow started to flicker once more. Anan held the amulet tightly once more. The glow was faint, but it pulsed steadily, like a heartbeat. Every nerve in his body screamed that he should run. Yet his feet felt rooted to the muddy ground. The wind picked up. Again, swirling through the tall rice stalks. It carried whispers, faint but urgent, like voices from far away. Anan strained to understand them. The words were fragmented, warning him, guiding him, or perhaps mocking him. Suddenly, a shadow detached itself from the horizon. It moved with eerie precision, sliding across the ground without sound. Anan's stomach twisted with fear. He could feel eyes on him, unseen and cold. He stepped back cautiously, glancing around the field. The sun had disappeared completely behind heavy clouds. Darkness settled, thick and oppressive. Every small noise was amplified, the rustle of leaves, the distant call of a bird, the thud of his own heartbeat. The shadow drew closer. Anan could not tell if it was human, animal, or something else entirely. It seemed to flicker in and out of reality, like smoke in a storm. He tightened his grip on the amulet, hoping it would protect him. A sudden gust knocked him off balance. He fell to his knees, mud splattering across his hands and face. The amulet slipped from his grasp. It floated a few inches above the ground, glowing faintly, almost alive. The shadow reached for it, and Anan could hear the whisper of wind shaped like a voice. Do not take it lightly. Anan crawled forward, desperate to retrieve it. The ground felt alive beneath him, pulsing as though it had a heartbeat. Each step was a struggle. The shadow mirrored his movements, closing the distance effortlessly. A chill ran down his spine as he noticed small figures forming in the darkness. They were tiny, almost invisible, but moving with purpose. Eyes glowed faintly in the dim light. The whispering grew louder, frantic, almost pleading. Anan reached for the amulet. His fingers brushed the surface. A sharp jolt of energy surged through him, knocking him backward. He gasped for air, feeling as if the world had shifted sideways. The amulet floated above him, glowing brighter now. From the corner of his eye, he saw movement among the rice stalks. Shapes emerged, blurred and distorted. They circled him silently, almost predatory. The air smelled of wet earth, smoke, and something metallic. The amulet pulsed again. A low hum filled the air, vibrating through Anan's bones. The whispering voices grew clearer, more urgent. They spoke of a curse, of a promise broken long ago. Anan could not understand the full meaning, but fear and awe mixed within him. Suddenly, one of the shadows lunged. It moved faster than his eyes could follow. Anan threw himself to the side, mud and water spraying around him. The figure vanished, leaving a cold emptiness behind. He scrambled to his feet, his heart hammering. The amulet hovered at chest height, spinning slowly. The cracks seemed to open wider, glowing like molten gold. Anan reached toward it again, feeling the hum resonate through his chest. A sharp, almost painful warmth spread through his body. The air shifted suddenly, heavy and pressing. A distant thunder rolled across the sky, though the clouds above remained still. Anan could hear whispers inside his mind now, words forming without sound. Do not break the circle. Before he could comprehend, the shadows converged. They were no longer silent. They whispered in unison, voices layered, urgent, and commanding. Anan stumbled backward, struggling to keep his balance. He knew that the amulet's broken state had unleashed something dangerous. A sudden movement caught his eye. A figure appeared in the distance, small at first, then larger as it approached. It was a young woman, dressed in tattered traditional clothing. Her eyes glowed faintly in the darkness, reflecting the light from the amulet. She extended her hand toward him. The shadows recoiled slightly as she neared. Her voice was soft, yet it cut through. The whispering like a knife. You must repair it, or it will consume everything. Anan's chest tightened. Repair it, he whispered, disbelief and fear mingling in his voice. How can I repair something so broken? The woman's gaze did not waver. The glow of the amulet grew stronger, illuminating her face and the ground around them. Her lips moved, but her words were carried by the wind directly into his mind. The amulet binds the past and future. It holds the balance of those who came before. One fracture can summon shadows that devour life itself. Anan's hands shook violently. He stared at the amulet, then at the approaching shadows. Fear threatened to paralyze him. Yet he knew he had no choice. The shadows shifted and whispered furiously. They pressed closer, intent and patient. The air felt electric, each breath heavy with danger. The ground beneath Anan trembled with anticipation. He touched the amulet once more. The pulse surged through him. Stronger days passed slowly after that fateful night in the rice fields. Anan kept the amulet close at all times. Its soft, steady glow became a reminder rather than a threat. He could feel its energy coursing gently through him, protective now rather than restless. The village seemed unchanged at first. The wind carried its usual sense of earth and growing crops. But Anan noticed subtle differences. Shadows no longer lingered as ominously. The whispers had faded into faint echoes only he could sense. He returned to the rice paddies where he had first found the amulet. The mud still clung to the earth like memories of that night. Anan knelt and touched the soil. A warmth spread through the ground, a quiet reassurance. The young woman appeared once more, this time fully visible in the morning light. She smiled gently, her eyes calm and kind. You have done well, she said. The amulet is whole again. Its curse has ended, but its power remains. Anan nodded slowly, still wary but grateful. Will it ever be dangerous again? He asked. She shook her head. Only if it is taken lightly. Remember, every choice matters. Balance must be preserved. The amulet pulsed faintly, almost like a heartbeat, as if acknowledging her words. Anan placed it carefully in a small pouch around his neck. Its weight was light, yet it carried the memory of shadows, whispers, and the unseen world. From that day forward, Anan tended his fields with renewed purpose. He worked alongside the villagers, yet always remained aware of the unseen forces that watched quietly. Life returned to its natural rhythm, but he carried the lessons of the amulet within him. Sometimes, in the quiet of the evening, he could feel a faint pulse in his hand. It was not threatening. It was a reminder of courage, of choices made in the face of fear. of the delicate balance between darkness and light. The shadows no longer haunted him. Instead, they existed at the edges of the world, distant and controlled. And the amulet, once broken, now held the promise of protection rather than despair. Anan smiled as the sun set behind the mountains. The wind rustled through the rice paddies, carrying the faint scent of earth and life. He had faced the unknown. He had survived. And he had restored balance to a story that began with a broken amulet. For the first time, he felt truly at peace. The world was quiet. The field glowed faintly in the last light of day. And the